I'll now turn to an announcement that relates to tertiary education. As a government pre-COVID-19, we already had a very strong focus on trades training in particular, with vocational education reforms and 2 years free trades training. The foundations for more New Zealanders enrolling in vocational education have already been put in place. But we know we will need to do much more to support tens of thousands of New Zealanders to retrain, to get back into the workforce, possibly in an entirely different job. Education will be key to our economic recovery. Today I can confirm an immediate package of support for our tertiary students to continue and stay in their studies. We know these students often use part-time work to fund their education, work which is no longer there. They're also facing the loss of support payments due to a learning break of more than 3 weeks, as their providers put in place alternative forms of teaching. That's why Cabinet has made some really practical decisions today to help cover extra costs by increasing the student loan amount available for course-related costs for full-time students from $1,000 to $2,000 on a temporary basis, to continue support payments such as student loans and allowances for students unable to study online for up to 8 weeks, and we've made technical changes to ensure where students receive partial tuition fee refunds in 2020 because their course has been discontinued due to COVID-19, this will not affect their future entitlement to student loans. And where students are unable to complete a course of study in 2020 due to COVID-19, this will not affect their entitlement to fees-free tertiary study. We do not want to see students unfairly disadvantaged from discontinued courses. This gives flexibility during the lockdown period and for 4 weeks beyond. The extra support will be available from tomorrow. The Minister of Education, Chris Hipkins, will release more detail, but I know he would want to thank all those in the sector, particularly student representatives who have fed in their insights and supported their fellow students. I thank you too, and particularly want to acknowledge the other work that students are doing at this time to help our most vulnerable, including, I'm told, the Student Volunteer Army's contactless food ordering and delivery services for over 65s, the medically vulnerable and families of healthcare workers or healthcare workers themselves. Of course, tomorrow is officially the start of Term 2, and I want to also thank our teachers for putting in place the distance learning to help parents during the start of the school term under lockdown. I think we're all doing a bit of learning at this time. Hopefully, having Susie Cato back on our tallies will lighten the load for many. I'll now hand over to Minister Robertson for an update before taking questions. Minister Robertson.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Today, the Treasury released a number of scenarios for the possible impact on the economy based on potential different times spent at different alert levels, the state of the global economy, and the level of fiscal response from the government. They cover a wide range of scenarios based on previously released public health modelling and lead to a wide range of potential outcomes. It's important to note that these are not like normal Treasury forecasts or even projections. The comparative data points we use for those are just not there. They are rather stylised examples of what the impact might be in different scenarios. They also do not foreshadow any government decisions to exit the lockdown. These will be made, as the Prime Minister has announced, on April 20. These scenarios show the government was right in our decision to go hard and go early in the fight against COVID-19. And they continue to show that the best protection for the economy is to fight the virus. As the Prime Minister has said, we can all be cautiously optimistic about the impact of the work we're all doing. But some of the forecasts show what could happen if we don't stick to the current Alert 4 level rules, or if we have to stay in it for longer, or return to level 4 at some point in the future. The scenarios also show just how important the government's actions to date, such as the wage subsidy scheme, have been in cushioning the blow of the impact of COVID-19 on the economy, and why there is a need for further significant investment to support businesses and households, as we have signalled that we will be doing. As you can see in the two scenarios 1A and 2A, how important it is for this continued investment to protect jobs and support businesses. For example, under Scenario 1, unemployment peaks at 359,000 or 13.5% in the June 2020 quarter. Scenario 1A includes an extra $20 billion of government support for workers and businesses and shows unemployment peaking at 224,000 or 8.3% in the current quarter before reducing to 5% next year. Importantly, in scenario 1A, with that additional government investment, unemployment is only above 200,000 once in the quarter that I've mentioned. This shows the importance of us continuing to invest, and as a country, we are in a good position to be able to do so. Our net debt at less than 20% of GDP compares favourably to the OECD average of above 70%. We begin this journey from a strong starting position. We are continuing to work on the next stages of our support for New Zealand businesses and households, and tomorrow I will talk about our next steps and our plan to support businesses.